Morning. So twice the previous weekend we had to fend off troops of baboon coming in, and Milo's been very crucial in early detection when they come in. We need to keep an eye on them. They can be quite dangerous. There were one in the tree here, they were on the front grass, and they are very aggressive. Anyways, we're working on the Jeep. Got the pump running there in the background, unfortunately, and I've got all the parts that I need to get the Jeep running today. The main thing is going to be, I've got a bolt up there that is broken, and to get to it I have to lift up the whole radiator just to be able to reach the bolt. So I've loosened up the radiator, which is held on with 566 bolts. Now I'm just going to put some wooden blocks below it just to lift it up. Not going to undo the hoses or anything, there's enough flex in them. I'm going to just put, and the fan is very close to it, I'm just going to put in this cardboard as I move the radiator so the fan doesn't damage it in any way. Now I just have to get under there. I know it looks a little bit precarious under here, but the rear wheels are chocked, meaning there are bricks in front of the wheels. Right, I can reach the bolt. Now the only remaining problem is that bolt's head goes right into the cross member, and there's no way to reach the head, and it's got a lock nut on it. I can't undo it. So let me just show you here. If I can get, there's a hole there, the bolt head is inside. If I can get a spanner to grab onto that, I'll be okay. There's a lot of modifications done in there. I think I'll be able to reach it, but I'm gonna have to pull a few tricks. So I've got a bolt like this in there. I need to get the spanner on it, but the distance is so I can just touch it with my fingers when it's on there. I need two tricks. Thing is, it's falling off all the time. It's just loose, so it's falling off. So I'm gonna see if this works. I'll just put a bit of tape over the jaw of the spanner. See if that is good. Yeah, that's a tight grip. So if I can get on that on there, it'll hold on to it by itself. And then if I cannot reach it, see which way around, I'll tape this tire lever to the spanner, and then I can actually get it in there. And let's just do that straight up from the start. I don't need to put pressure, hold on to it. The fact that it's in that hole means it'll just push against the side of the cross member and keep itself from moving. I just need to get it onto that bolt. That looks okay, so see if I can undo it from this side. It's fallen off, but it's working. If I can hold on to it on this side at the same time, that would prevent it from falling off. Right, not making much gains. It did work. I've got it almost loose, but I think I'm going to switch it around and try the ring side. And this might even be a good way to get it back in again, because I have to get those bolts back in. It's a very simple thing that I need to do overall. Get a broken bolt out, get a new bolt in, bolt it back together, but it's the sequence of events. It's very important to be able to reach it from under there and get it in place. And that'll even work for putting the whole thing back together again. This is on really tight. Not sure I want to put it back together this way again. I'll see. If I was a real mechanic, some strong words would probably be flowing right now. As a real mechanic, I would probably not be in this fix. A better solution. I got it. This is the problem. This bolt is broken off. It's welded in there for some reason, probably because there's no way to get another hole in the cross member. So what other solutions do I have? I don't really have. I can cut this off, use this plate on the one side. There you just need the one flat plate. On this side I could make a new plate with a spacer and then the spacer pulling a bolt tight. I'll have to think about this a little bit. First I'm going to grind this off, get the hole open. I might be able to just put a bolt in there. But how to tighten it up, because you can't get in there with a tool of any kind. And before I cut some things, I need to figure out why didn't they do it the simpler way right from the start. There could be a reason. I mean, on this side there are holes through the chassis. There's no reason to have this whole contraption. You can just put bolts through the chassis, big washers. Why did they make this whole thing? You can have a washer here as a spacer, or use this plate as a spacer. Then on this side you could just space the whole thing. No, there are no holes in the chassis there. Now I've got a dilemma. I've got smaller bolts, and I've got bigger bolts. This one is actually the same size, and it might even be long enough. But it's a coarse thread and a fine thread. Goes in. Right, so what needs to happen here, this is the idler arm, and these are all the bolts that I need on it, and this actually broke, so the bolt broke here, which meant this was loose, and then that broke off this ear because there was too much movement. So I got it fixed, got it repaired. Took out all the insides, heated it up to good temperature, welded it on. It's steel, it's not cast iron, it's cast steel. And in the meantime I managed to source a brand new one. But I'm not really liking the looks of the new one. It's slightly longer. So it goes in, it lines up, and I'll have to move a lot of that. That's fine, I can do that. Okay, so I have to admit, I completed the steering assembly without filming it. Just when I got into it, I just kept going and the camera died, and I didn't want to stop what I was doing. Of course, it's hard to get going, but once you get going it can go well. So the steering is completed, except I might need to replace one tie rod end, which is fine. It's still working. I think it's better. It will be better to replace it. So what's up next is the wiring on the rear lights. It's a little bit buggered up, not too bad, but I don't want it to be more or less right. I want it to be completely right. So I want to redo it. Also, I want to be able to tow this Jeep behind the FJ Cruiser to take it to places that I'm not willing to drive it to. It's road legal, except the lighting has some issues, but I'm going to fix that. And what I'm going to do right now is first fix the towing cabling so I can hook it onto the FJ, plug it in and tow it. And then from there on I'll gradually work my way into the rest. I might even get a professional to help me with that. So right now I'm going to finish with the lighting. One of the reasons I wanted to get it completely right is one of the kids want to take it, want to be dropped at their what is it, matriekafskeid in English. So it needs to be ready for that. Luckily you can get anything on the internet now these days, so I'm going to just work off that. The quality of the connectors I have here is pretty poor. Now I'll have to make another plan. I've crimped several of these, and they're even supposed to be name brand. Heller, I'm not sure these are name brand. Anyway, really poor quality. I don't trust them, so I'm gonna make a compromise. And the best one that I can think of right now, and this is use a pop rivet that I knocked the pin out and put that on. And if you're shouting at the screen telling me to solder it, you don't solder automotive wire, you just don't. I've had many a discussion about it in the past. And I used to build, like I've mentioned before, radio control aeroplanes and helicopters, where just because you cannot fit any kind of connector inside those tiny little tubes and stuff, I've soldered it, but I'm not scared of soldering, it's just not the right thing to do here. I need to transfer green to that side. I'm going to do it with the green and yellow with the earth wire on this. Now I need to transfer earth as well, ground, so I'll probably do it with the black. So why not use solder? And I've looked into this quite extensively. You're welcome to check my research. But when I was building the new radiator for the Jeep, I had the option to go with either a copper or aluminum radiator. And then I started looking up, and I need maximum cooling and the minimum space for that V8 engine. A knowledgeable friend usually says a V8 engine can boil water better than a kettle. And if it works hard, it builds up heat very fast. So, in order to get the maximum amount of cooling, I did some research on what's the best radiator to achieve that. And to my surprise, in that research, we are looking up at the conductive properties of metals, both heat conductive and electric conductivity, sorry. And to my surprise, not only was lead a poor conductor compared to aluminum and copper, it was also a poor conductor for electricity compared to aluminum and copper. Copper is a much better conductivity rate for heat than aluminum, but because the copper radiator is soldered together, that solder limits the rate of transfer of heat. And then looking it up in electricity, same thing. There's a reason why Eskom don't use solder on high tension lines or anywhere for that matter, and there's also a reason why automotive industries don't use solder at all in automotive wiring. I know they solder in the electronics, but they don't have to transfer much energy. They just have to make some connection. And The other thing is vibration. Solder, where you have a solder connection, where the solder stops, usually there you have, at the solder you usually have a weaker connection, so it starts to build up heat. The higher temperature causes more resistance, causing it to build up more heat. We see that in electric forklifts a lot. And I used to solder the electric forklift plugs on when they used to fail, until an electrician showed me you need to crimp it. And crimped it and never had problems since. So you're welcome to disagree with me on solder, but solder, I'll put it out right there, solder is not a good idea on wires on cars. Milo, jy gaan nou in die plek wees daar, in die pad wees. I'm going to cut all these, I'm not going to use those again. I'm not happy with them. They're not a solution in my opinion. So by the way, my pop rivet trick is a farmer's trick. You're welcome to use it. I trust it, but I'm not going to say it's anyway approved by any kind of organization or anything. Or that it's the best way to go about it, but it's a way to go about it. Alright, Milo, klim. So we're going to test the lights now. Klim. Klim. Right. I did test it with a testing light, but fingers crossed it doesn't blow a fuse in the FJ.
Flikkerlig. Ja. Ja. Ja.
Okay. Right, so the rear lights work to pull it on the A-frame. And that's going to be it for now. It's running. The plans are working out. See you on the next one. Cheers.